everyone, back for another review. This must be one of the longest nights in recorded history. Let's talk about this sequel to the 2018 Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills starts really right after the events of the 2018 movie, and we go through what happens when they kind of figure out that Michael doesn't die. Laurie Strode is in the hospital. Judy Greer's character, Karen, and then her daughter, Allison, find out that Michael's not dead, and Michael's pissed, and Michael wants to go home. I thought this movie was okay. I thought it kind of takes the series in an odd direction though at the same time. Because Laurie's not really in the movie that much. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, who returns to play Laurie Strode, is not in the movie that much. Her biggest contribution to the movie is the third act, where she's talking to another character about Michael. And how do they know this information? I don't know. In fact, this movie doesn't have the three main heroines from the last movie in it that much until really the third act. A lot of this movie is Michael going around killing people on his destination to where he wants to go. And the second act is really filled up with a different character. It's actually filled with Tommy Doyle literally takes the lead in the second half of the movie, which is kind of weird, and he's played by Anthony Michael Hall of all people. So yeah, this is really different, and the second act really has to do with more of a social commentary on mob mentality, and also on what that can do to you. I don't think the movie does a really good job of explaining what it does. They kind of just says Michael makes everyone crazy, where it actually leads to a very interesting scene in the hospital where the mob goes nuts. I won't say why because I don't want to spoil it, but the ending is, how it ends is kind of interesting, but also I really felt like they could have made a really strong social commentary there. This is a movie with a lot of good kills. If you like people dying in pretty interesting ways, this is your movie. Michael has a lot of good death. This is a very gory movie, and I kind of enjoyed it. It's not the scariest of movies, I want to say, but there's a lot good going with it in that direction. I will have to say, if you did not see Halloween, the 1978 one, not the 2018 one, they do catch you up on it because they go back to that movie a lot, not using the original footage, using CGI characters, de-aging and things like that. And also, I kind of feel, I haven't seen that movie in a while, I kind of feel they're retconning certain things, and they also add new scenes so you can understand certain people's motivation. This is a huge cast. Other than the Laurie's family, other than Michael, you have Tommy Doyle, you have all these other characters on the outside, especially a lot of them. There's a lot of callbacks to the original movie. In fact, you can almost skip what happens in the 2018 movie. Just watch the 1978 movie and you'll be fine. Which is a kind of interesting choice they made. I will say this, I do like the boyfriend in this movie a lot more than in the last movie. He was kind of insufferable and a prick in the last movie. Here he's better. He feels a little bit more like a character. I will say this movie does something that the 2018 version didn't do, where a lot of the characters are a lot more likable. One of my problems with that 2018 version was it felt like a lot of the characters were just there to get killed. Here, yes, they did feel like they were going to get killed, but here they were more likable. A lot of them were just jerks in the last movie. There are some callbacks to that, i.e. the little kid who was being babysat, and that was pretty cool. I will say this, depending on how you take this movie, there is a lot more comedy in this movie. I found myself giggling more than I probably should have in a slasher flick. There is this like whole thing about this gay couple, and I'm not gonna say why. They just happen to be in the movie, and I felt like a lot of it was played for way too much laughs. My biggest problem with this movie is probably the third act, where you have Laurie Strode talking to the police officer from the first movie, and talking about how Michael, and she says a lot of, like, not self-indulgent, but a lot of stuff is like, how the hell did you know any of that? Like, how? Or like, seriously. Technically, in this timeline, he killed his sister, he went to jail, 40 years passed, and then 2018 happened. She's spouting off all this philosophical stuff, and I didn't understand like how she knew any of that. Also, as much as everyone belines their explanation of Michael in the original series, like part 4, 5, and 6, after a certain scene in this movie, they really need to explain what magical powers does Michael Myers have, because it is quite disturbing. He just can literally, I get it, this is a horror movie, but technically in this timeline, he's just a regular, he's an old dude at that. I think a lot of people will have problems with the ending. One of the problems I have with the ending, no spoilers once again, is it clearly sequel baits. Not that I wouldn't want to see a sequel, but the way it gets to that sequel baiting, I felt was really unearned and didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, that third act like had me really sitting there going, how did any of that happen? And why, like, yeah, they just come out, I don't care if they say Michael Myers is a zombie, I don't know how they would explain that, but I know that the third ending really broke down the reasoning. This is written by and directed by Gordon Green, who also did the last one, and he co-wrote it with Danny McBride, and you can tell their comedy came out. I don't know whether it was supposed to be intentional or not to break the ice, but there's a lot of shakiness in this movie, and like I said, if you happen to go see it, I would definitely watch the 1978 Halloween first, and you can probably skip the 2018 because they kind of do that. It's really not that important in this movie other than to set up the characters. My hard review for Halloween Kills is probably going to be a 6.8. The kills are fun. I like the characters a little bit more in this one, but it's kind of all over the place, and yeah, that third act really, like, how the mechanics of everything works really breaks down. It has interesting ideas, I just don't know if it follows through on them. Or at least during my first showing, I really didn't. I don't know, something about this sat differently than me. Even though it does, if you're a slasher fan, it has the violence. So that's my review of Halloween Kills. Let me know in the comments below if you'll be watching it. It's available in movie theaters, and it's also available on the Peacock, for free if you don't want to go to a theater. So, until next time,